and welcome to the Paranormal Operator Podcast, where we talk about all manner of things that go bump in the night. Here, we discuss sightings, investigations, news, and popular media surrounding the paranormal, supernatural, and occult phenomena. So settle in as we search for the truth. I am your host, Adam, Operator 23. In today's episode, AARO, finally, has a reporting mechanism, space weather, my own possible Bigfoot encounter. Is the Walmart in Galveston, Texas haunted? And upcoming events. Before we get into the actual episode, though, I do want to make a quick apology. My audio is not what it should be. Unfortunately, because it is cooling off, I have moved my setup into my house. Originally, I was set up in my garage. Now I'm inside the house, and because I have moved everything and unplugged my microphone, it, for whatever reason, has chosen to lose its mind, and it doesn't seem to want to cooperate. The sound you will hear in the background is the fan on my laptop. I have worked for 2 days to try and get around that sound to filter it out, and unfortunately I have been unsuccessful. I hope that by next episode I should have it figured out. Again, I apologize. Ufology news. Our first story today comes from The Debrief, entitled "The Pentagon's AARO Rolls Out Its New Secure Reporting Mechanism for UAP." Sort of. It is dated November 2nd. So The Debrief is a source we use quite often here on the podcast. And guys, check them out, give them some love, subscribe to their YouTube channel, and subscribe to their emails, and they also have some podcasts as well. So it's a very good source, very good information. So we're not going to read the entire article. It's a pretty good article though, and I would recommend coming to check it out. These are the 3 points that they make. Firstly, the new portal, what it's designed to do. Number 2, the glaring issues that already exist with this reporting mechanism and why it seems doomed to fail. And on top of that, why exactly it is that, quite possibly, AARO already knows it's going to fail. Alright, let's get into it. So, this past week, the DoD has announced that they have launched a new secure reporting mechanism for U.S. military personnel. And it's not quite just for the military. If we come take a look at their website here. So it's for all current or former U.S. government employees, service members, or contractor personnel with direct knowledge of U.S. government programs or activities related to UAP dating back to 1945. Sounds pretty straightforward so far. Okay. Here's the catch, though. They have to have direct knowledge. So no secondhand accounts. The other big kicker is, alright, where is it at here? Oh, it's further down here. It's not for any classified or unclassified, non-publicly releasable information. So, yeah. What information would they like you to submit, I wonder? Because there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to receive this classified information. They have been given the top of the top clearance through the National Defense Authorization Act. So why can't they receive this classified information? Because they're the ones, it's their job, literally their job, to blow the lid off of this whole conspiracy, right? To prove if there's any there. Right? There's a whole lot of smoke, but we haven't found any fire yet. There's no flames. Well, I doubt they're going to do it this way. Also, not to mention that the reporting mechanism is not meant for everybody. It is specifically for the government, and will not be taking any reports from the general public. At least not yet. They may do that in the future. And I kind of get it. Because, everybody and their brother is going to be wanting to put a report in. Oh, yeah, my grandpappy, he saw a UFO out in Nam, or, whatever. Gosh. A grandfather in Nam. Although I guess it's been long enough. So, pardon all the noises. I'm still getting over a cold. So, yeah. Now, if we go and we look down here, so AARO Kirkpatrick, that is, he held an off-camera roundtable with the media, and you can find a transcript of that on the Pentagon website. So there was a question about whether or not they'd be able to handle a large influx of reports now that the reporting mechanism is up. Kirkpatrick answers that he does have surge capability, which just basically means that he has the authority to retask people. So he can pull from other departments, I guess, if he needs people to work on certain cases. So that's all that is. But he does reveal, I don't know if we want to call it a problem. I don't know if we really want to call it a problem, but it's just interesting how he puts this, and I can really just kind of imagine him being very, just a little sarcastic, maybe crass rather. So following up that question about a large influx of reports, he says that, quote, "If I look at this through the lens of if we start with the hypothesis that there is a highly protected program somewhere that very few people have access to, then I would expect very few people would be able to come and report that, because there just aren't that many people that would then, in theory, be briefed to that." So he brings up a really good point, all right, because of compartmentalization and whatnot. But here's the thing. Sure, you have only a handful of people in a project that are actually dealing with that project. But that project, unless it lives at Area 51 or on a secluded military base or is very sequestered away, people have the chance to see things. There's a possibility that someone would be like, I saw something, I heard something, rubbing elbows at the water cooler. There's always that possibility. And if you look at, just from a logistical standpoint, right, the truck driver who is driving in your UFO on the back of his flatbed truck, he's not going to know what's on that truck. He's going to know it's something weird, and he's not going to know where he delivered it to. And that's something, right? Those are the Those are the tiny little crumbs that make up the trail that we can follow for the people who, or rather to the people who don't want to straight out come forward and say, this is what we're doing. I remember when I was in high school, there was this, I'm assuming it was some sort of a drone, an unmanned aerial vehicle, and it was on a flatbed, and my God, did it look like a UFO. It was wrapped and everything. Do you think the guy driving that truck knew what that thing was on the back of his truck? Probably not. Do you think he remembers doing it? I would almost bet probably he does. So, just from a logistical standpoint, you have all these other people who are in the area, who are rubbing elbows with these people, who are possibly talking with these people or overhearing them talk, or maybe there's a door that doesn't shut very fast and they get a glimpse through it. The only problem is that information would be secondhand, and they don't want any secondhand information. They only want people with direct knowledge. So I'm not entirely sure what exactly they're going for here. So let's take a quick look at the reporting mechanism here, just so we can say that we did. Okay, so again, this is for current or former U.S. government employees, service members, or contractor personnel with direct knowledge of U.S. government programs or activities related to UAP dating back to 1945. All right. What should I not report? So do not submit any information that is potentially classified or unclassified information that is not publicly releasable. Must have direct knowledge of U.S. government programs or activities. Please do not report secondhand information or hearsay regarding UAP programs or activities. Must have first-hand knowledge. And then again, please do not use this unclassified website to submit current operational reports of UAP sightings that have occurred in the course of your official U.S. government duties as a service member, federal employee, or contractor personnel. Oh, and that brings me back to actually another point here. So this is my phone that I forgot to silence. So this reporting thing, which is supposed to be uniform, right? This is supposed to be the thing that's like, okay, guys, we want this information, and it's going to be in this particular format. Well, if we come back here to the article, it actually says, if I can find it here, it's near the top, that instead what you should do is, well, I don't see it here. Well, I'll tell you what it said. Basically, if you need to report something, here it is. Please follow the process established by your service branch or federal agency to report the information to AARO. So that tells me that it's not unified. It's not organized. It's not, this is the information we need. This is what we want you to tell us. This is how we want you to tell us. Because of each one of these, each branch, if the Army, if the Navy, the Air Force, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the DOE, all these alphabet boys, if they all have their own established process to report to AARO, then they've established it themselves. I mean, it should be as simple as report this to your direct supervisor, and then your direct supervisor will kick it up the chain. But I don't work for the government. Anyway, what should I expect after filing a report? Following the submission of your report, AARO staff may reach out to request additional details or arrange for an informational interview. It's kind of funny they don't call it a debrief. I signed an NDA. Can I still report? Yes, you can. Because the National Defense Authorization Act has given AARO full consent to do exactly whatever they need to do, and so you can come out and tell us whatever you need to tell us. And it's one good thing that I really like that Congress did. They allowed that to happen. AARO should have, as I was saying, the highest clearances of any agency out there to receive any information, because it's their job to figure out what the heck's going on. By law, AARO may receive all UAP-related information, including any classified national security information, regardless of any restrictive access controls, special access programs, or compartmental access programs. Moreover, there is no restriction to AARO receiving any past or present UAP-related information, regardless of the organizational affiliation of the original classification authority within DoD, the IC, or other U.S. government department or agencies. So, what I just said. However, you can't report classified national security on this website. So, one thing that we haven't really discussed, and they haven't, I don't know why it wasn't in any of the other articles, I'm fairly certain they have a backdoor classified website that can receive that information, I think. And this is the public-facing one. So, if you wanted to, I guess, make an analogy, this is the fake website, I guess. And then what about reprisals or prohibition? So, individuals who make an authorized disclosure, whatever that means, to AARO are explicitly protected from reprisals under law, which is good. And then if you feel like you are being reprised against, call the Office of the Inspector General. Alright. So that's the website. And the reporting mechanism. And God only knows how long and how much money they spent to actually put this together. Well, folks, I have an alternative. If instead you'd like to report it to me, you can come to my website, paranormaloperator23.com, and right here at the very top, make a report. If you have any experience, whether it's paranormal, supernatural, occult, Dogman, Bigfoot, Nessie, Ogopogo, UAP, UFO, USO, ghost, poltergeist, demon, whatever, then you can submit your report to us. And we are currently working with other, or rather we're not working with them yet, we're reaching out to try and work with other paranormal groups so that we can start compiling data and evidence and hopefully work with some of these groups to try and analyze and just see the bigger picture of the paranormal. So if you are a pilot or aircrew or a steward or stewardess and whatever happened to you while you were up in the air, I have a separate reporting form there. For the layperson though, just click the report button. It is obviously it's a Google form, and basically, you know, what we have three basic classifications. We have public, which means we can use just about everything on there. pretty much anything on your report. Anonymous, we release everything except for names, street addresses, occupation, contact information, anything that's identifiable. And then confidential it's not released. It's only in-house. It's in-house use only. So I just want to make a caveat here for the public use. We don't release names unless it's specifically given permission. We're not going to put out your address. We're not going to dox anybody. So that kind of information won't be in the public release regardless. All right. So guys, if you have any information that you would like to submit to us, feel free to do that. And we will definitely, not that we may get in contact with you, but we will definitely follow back up with you. So yeah, feel free to send us a report. Space weather. This space weather is brought to you by spaceweather.com. So right now we are under a geomagnetic storm watch. NASA and NOAA now agree a full halo CME is expected to hit Earth's magnetic field sometime this weekend, arriving probably in the late hours of November 5, which could spark a G2 class geomagnetic storm with auroras in northern Europe, Canada, and the US, from New York to Oregon. The CME was hurled in our direction November 3rd, and here we have a shot of the larger CME. However, this does not show the other CMEs. There were smaller ones that preceded this and a few that also came after that. So there's quite a bit of solar material that is heading our way at the moment. Coming down to our near-Earth asteroids, we had a pretty close flyby on November 2nd. It was only 0.1 lunar distance from the Earth. And we're going to be looking at 12th through the 5th. So here's our date range. Nothing very close. Just we have the one here on the 7th, which will come to within 1 lunar distance, and that is asteroid 2023 VS. Gonna make its pass on the 7th. It will be. It's only 4 meters in diameter, so it's not terribly big. It'd mess your day up though if it did strike anywhere near you or above you. So looks like we are pretty much clear for this upcoming week, and it looks like we're pretty much clear for the rest of the year. Not too much activity. This one right here might actually have been the closest one of the whole year as far as I'm aware. Alright, and now let's go look at the rocks falling from the sky that we do want to see. And this is coming to you from the American Meteor Society. Here's your meteor activity outlook for November 4th through the 10th. During this period, the moon reaches its last quarter phase on Sunday, November 5. At that time, the moon will rise near 2300 local time on November 4th and will illuminate the skies the remainder of the night. With each passing night, the moon's phase will wane, and it will rise later in the morning, becoming less of a nuisance. The estimated total hourly rates for evening observers this weekend should be near 3, as seen from mid-northern latitudes, and 2, as seen from southern tropical latitudes. For morning observers, the estimated total hourly rates should be near 20, as seen from mid-northern latitudes, and 12, as seen from tropical southern locations. Morning rates are reduced by moonlight. Actual rates will depend on factors such as personal light, motion perception, local weather conditions, alertness, and experience in watching meteor activity. Note that the hourly rates listed are estimates as viewed from dark sky sites away from urban lights. So you can see quite possibly 20 per hour if you live around 40 degrees north. Active meteor showers, we have a couple of them here. The Orionids is gonna, let's see here, 10 to 20 showers. It's gonna peak. Oh, well, that already peaked a couple weeks ago, but it's still going on. You might be able to catch some. It'll be going until November 22nd. Then we have the Southern Taurids, which runs from September through December. It is expected to peak this weekend, November 5 and 6. So it'll be tonight actually, the night of the 5th, morning of the 6th. And it's not a very active one. It usually has more. It doesn't usually have more than 5 per hour. We have the Northern Taurids, which will be going through October and through to December. It's going to peak, looks like maybe next week, November 11th through the 12th. So it'll be the night of the 11th. You have the Leonids, which is going on. It just started, so you're probably not going to see much. It is going to be peaking around November 17th through the 18th. And then here are some of these to come. So we get a handful of meteor showers currently going on, and the odds of seeing something are pretty good if you're in a reasonably dark area. So guys, remember, these are non-profit organizations. Do give them some love. Follow them on social media. American Meteor Society. They're basically a bunch of volunteers. And if you see something in the sky and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a fireball or a meteor, you can report it to them. And then that way, if other people think it's a UFO, and when I come and check the website, I can be like, oh, it was just a fireball. Same thing with the spaceweather.com. Feel free to subscribe to their text alerts as well as their email alerts. I get them on my email all the time. Always good information. Always very punctual with their forecasts. Cryptozoology. Unfortunately, there hasn't been much going on since the Colorado Bigfoot sighting. So as far as the cryptid news goes, we're going to have to do something a little different today. I figured that since I have so many experiences, I might regale you with one of my own. And when it comes to Bigfoot, unfortunately, I only have one, or at least one possible one. So, this has been, I'm not even sure, it's probably been 3 or 4 years back. So, I was volunteering at a national park in South Carolina, and as a volunteer, you get to camp out. And they actually have a separate little area for volunteers to camp at, which is not in the front area where most people get to see. It's actually in the back near the maintenance area. And, well, it was just me. I was there alone. And I was in my hammock, just kind of rocking back and forth. And then all of a sudden, I hear what I believe to be wood knocks. Just 2 whacks. 1, 2. And I immediately shoot up out of my hammock because I'm like, that's a wood knock. I get out. I can't see anything because, obviously it's pitch black and it's a national park. There are no lights. I'm not even sure if there's lights in the parking lot, although there probably are. But I'm not anywhere near the parking lot. So I get in my car. I kind of turn it around and direct it toward where I think the sounds are coming from. Now, it's really difficult to tell how far something is off of sound, but I didn't feel as though it was very far away from me. Definitely within 50 yards. So I turned my car around, I put the high beams on, I have a headlamp that's like 1,000 lumens, I got a 4D mag light, and I'm just searching the woods back and forth. Now the area that I'm in is a floodplain. There's a lot of pine trees, it's flat for the most part, and there's not a lot of undergrowth. So you could probably see 50 yards pretty easy. Maybe even 100 yards at that point, because I'm pretty sure it was, I'm fairly certain it was getting close to winter. So there wasn't much undergrowth. But there was enough leaf litter on the ground that had someone been walking around there, I more than likely would have heard them. Because I have actually camped there before, and I've heard other animals walking around. I've seen deer out there, raccoon. So anyway, I'm pointing my lights off in this direction, which, full disclosure, yes, there is a trail there. 100% there's a trail that leads back into the park from the actual campground. But I don't think it was a person, simply because I didn't hear them walk. Like, I didn't hear anything. And I sat there probably a good 45 minutes just with my lights, and I didn't see anything, I didn't smell anything, I didn't hear anything. It was just dead silent. And I don't recall if there were bugs making noises or not, but I definitely heard 2 knocks. So about 45 minutes goes by, and I'm like, all right, well, maybe I didn't hear any. Maybe it was just my brain. Maybe, whatever. It was something mundane. Well, I turn my car off, turn all my lights off, and I get back in my hammock. And I'm sitting there, and I'm listening as hard as I can. I'm sniffing the air to see, if I could smell something. And, well, nothing happens. It was probably, I'm going to guess, maybe 15, 20 minutes later, after I'd gone dark, that I hear 2 more knocks. And this is it's in the same direction, but it's a lot further away. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess he's done with me, or, whatever it is. But the crazy thing is, again, I never heard anything. If it was a person, I would have heard them walking through the leaf litter, because there was so much out there. And the fact that I didn't see anything, sure, could it have been a person? Absolutely. They could have been on the trail. They could have been a Bigfoot hunter out there, or just some Yahoo out there on a trail, and like, I'm gonna, hunt for Bigfoot. Let's go out here and make some wood knocks. It could have been a person, absolutely. But the fact that I didn't hear or see anything, it's kind of odd. Now, yeah, a person could have hid behind a tree, and sure, they hid behind a tree for 45 minutes, right? But why? Like, are they that afraid of being caught? I mean, it's a national park. You can go into the park. The park's open 24 hours a day. It doesn't close. The visitor center closes, but the park doesn't close. So, I don't know. And then that they would do it again, but much further away, thinking that I wouldn't hear it, maybe? I don't know. I have heard, though, that when it comes to Bigfoot activity, they don't like lights. And so I'm thinking that perhaps me turning on all my lights, that might have been like their cue to go away, maybe? I don't know. and that's complete conjecture. So I don't, I have no idea. But that was my one Bigfoot-ish kind of experience, and it happened in South Carolina. Now, I will say, though, that that's not the only thing that's ever happened to me at that park. I actually had an experience where it was I would almost describe it as like a missing 411 type experience, where I was at a trail junction, and if you went one way, it would bring you back to the boardwalk, back to the visitor center, because it's basically like concentric loops. So you get to the end of one loop and you can double back, or you can go to the next one, you can double back and go to the next one. So I come to this one junction, and it's the wilderness line. So everything beyond this is designated federal wilderness. So it has additional protections besides it being the fact that it's a national park. And I don't know, it's so weird. I had this overwhelming kind of irrational fear just starting to creep up on me, and I don't know what it was. I don't know where it came from. I was just standing there thinking about, oh yeah, Wilderness Act. I learned about that not that long ago, and started thinking what I could recall from the training that I had, and it was just so weird because I've never been that scared before in the woods, and just to come out of nowhere. So additionally, it was almost like for whatever reason, like part of me was like wanting to keep going down that trail, and then the other part of me was like, I'm gonna turn around now and we're gonna go back the other direction. It was almost like a tunnel vision sort of thing. I'm not saying the trail was trying to draw me down it. I'm not saying that it was a trap set by something. All I'm saying is it was a really, really weird experience. And it's only ever happened to me once in my entire life of all the times I've ever been out in the woods hiking. And I always hike alone, which you shouldn't do that. But yeah, so maybe it's that park. I don't know. I haven't been back in a while. But there are, if you look at the missing 411 map, I'm fairly certain there's nothing in that park that has ever happened, or maybe even in that area. And I actually, I was part of, or was kind of a part of the search and rescue team when they first started forming one there at that park. So I'm not aware of any crazy stuff going on, except for my own personal experiences. So yeah, maybe there's a Bigfoot there. Maybe there's some missing 411 anomalies there. All I know is it's a floodplain, so there's a lot of water that flows through there. And I'd definitely say that if a Bigfoot was going to hide out, I mean, there's a lot of acreage. A lot of acreage. You got plenty of water sources, so there's fish, there's turtles, there's snakes, there's all kind of things they could eat. So maybe. Anyway, guys, that is the paranormal section for this week. Post-biology. Alright, so our post-biology section is also going to be a little bit different because there's simply not a lot going on in the news right now. This particular article actually wound up in my email a couple weeks ago, and as you can see, it is from the Houston Chronicle entitled Ghosts and Chills: How Galveston's Haunted Walmart Got Its Reputation. And it was published on September 23rd of this year. Unfortunately, I am unable to actually show you the text because it is behind a paywall, but with a little bit of minor trickery, I was able to retrieve the text. And essentially what it talks about is this Walmart in Galveston, and it does seem to have some very peculiar ghostly activity. So, a little bit of background. Why does this Walmart, why is it haunted? Well, in 1900, there was a hurricane that hit the city and island of Galveston, Texas. And on the spot where the Walmart is today, right here, there was an orphanage. And it held 93 children, and it was operated by 10 nuns. Now, the hurricane of 1900 was absolutely disastrous. They're estimating anywhere from around 6,000 to 8,000 people died during that hurricane. And mainly it was because people didn't evacuate. So, what do you think is going to happen to our kids who are right here off of the ocean? Well, nothing good. You see, the sisters, trying to do what they could to save and protect the children, they rounded them all up, took them to the second floor of the girls' dormitory, which was the newest building there, and the boys' dormitory actually got swept away during the storm, so it's a good thing they got the boys over. They then took the clothesline, cut it up into sections, and tied several children to each of the nuns. So each nun would have, anywhere from like 6 to 10 kids attached to them. Well, during the storm, the foundations were washed away. The girls' dormitory was lifted up off of the foundation, moved, and the roof collapsed, which sealed almost all of their fates. Unfortunately, only 3 of the children survived. So all 10 nuns and 90 of the 93 children aged 2 to 13 drowned. The nuns and the other children were found dead on the beach, having all drowned together. The 3 boys, depending on whose accounts you read, apparently were not tied. Either they weren't tied or they were able to untie themselves, climbed to the roof of the facility, and were later found floating at sea. And they were rescued. They were the only ones to survive from St. Mary's. So, it was a very tragic event. So how does this tie into the Walmart? Well, from what I can tell, the original buildings, or at least one or a few of the original buildings, were actually put here on the property that is the Walmart today. And this is a picture of one of them. You have the 2 separate dormitories. Alright. So these buildings were built where the Walmart is now. And people, both employees as well as customers, or visitors rather, to the Walmart, have reported odd happenings. Employees report that electronics will go haywire. Their cash registers sometimes won't work. Electronic doors will open and close on their own. Children coming into the Walmart have stated they've seen children and nuns who weren't actually there. And then on top of that, in the toy aisle, some of the toys will tend to activate on their own, specifically toys which need to be touched to be activated. So definitely some creepy stuff going on. But let's not forget that these ghosts, if they are such a thing, they were real people. And these are children who drowned. And if you know anything about drowning, it's not quick. It's not pleasant. It is slow, drawn out, and painful. So they definitely would have died under very traumatic circumstances. Anyway, if you're ever in Galveston, because it's quite a bit of a distance for me to get out there, let us know. Do you have any experiences? Have you seen anything? Have you felt anything? Have your kids seen or felt or anything? So yeah, because I'd love to hear from you guys, and then we'll maybe if you want, we can even have you come on the show and you can talk about your experience there at the haunted Walmart of Galveston. So yeah, drop us a line, guys. Let us know what you think about it in the comments section down below. Upcoming events. So as the year closes out, guys, we are only going to have a few more events to go. This past weekend was the ECHO European Congress for UAP Studies and Research. It happened in Paris, France, or rather, it is still happening in Paris, France. And then the weekend before this, we actually had an in-house event. Thank you to all of the people who came out to our children's candy and crafts events for Halloween. Thank you for coming. I'm sure your kids had a wonderful time riding with feather quills and making little ghost dolls. Upcoming events, we have two, which will be in a couple weekends. They're both the same weekend. One is in Washington, the other one's here in Kentucky on this side of the country. November 17th through the 20th is the Sasquatch Summit, which will be held in Ocean Shores, Washington. And then on the 18th and 19th is CryptidCon, which will be in Lexington, Kentucky. And for an in-house event, we're looking to do one sometime in December. I'm not entirely sure what we're gonna do or when it's gonna be, but it'll probably be something like a Creepy Christmas maybe, or a Nightmare Before Christmas sort of thing. And we're not entirely sure what it's gonna be, but we'll keep you guys posted on it. You'll be able to find tickets on Eventbrite. That's where we did our last one, and we had quite a few people sign up for the Halloween event. Unfortunately, not a lot of people who did sign up showed up. We had maybe a third show up, so that's a little disappointing, but we still had around 40-ish people come out, so thank you to all of them. And if you are an event organizer or if you know of an event, then feel free to reach out to us. We will put you guys on our calendar. We will give you a little plug here, and it is free. We are not charging anybody anything to plug their events. So that's all we have time for this week, folks. If you like what you heard, please comment, like, share, subscribe, and make sure you turn on the notifications. That way you'll know when we do upload more content. It also helps us with the algorithm to be more discoverable. If you like what you heard, great. If you didn't like what you heard, well, I thank you for listening this long. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at ParanormalOps23. And on Instagram and Rumble at Paranormal Operator 23. Our website, where you can find our blog and make a report of paranormal activity, is paranormaloperator23.com. Our emails, you can reach out to us at paranormaloperator23@gmail.com, or if you don't trust Google, contact at paranormaloperator23.com. Well, until next time, folks, keep searching in the darkness.